Hey, it's Nick here. Hope everybody's doing well. In this video, we are talking about affirmations. My law of attraction, top affirmation tips for manifestation. Last week, one of my facilitators in my facilitator training asked me if I ever give affirmations as homework to clients. And the answer is not very often. And the reason for that is even though affirmations seem very simple and a lot of people like to do them, a lot of people aren't doing them properly. And when you're not doing them properly, oftentimes you're creating momentum in the wrong direction and you're shooting yourself in the foot. So in this video, I'm sharing 3 tips, 3 things to look at to make sure that you're doing your affirmations properly in the context, of course, of manifestation. So number one, and the most important thing, and this is where most people go wrong, is most people in their affirmations, they're using affirmations to push against a negative state. Now, here's what I mean. So when somebody asks me about money, I always ask them, are you trying to work your way out of lack or into wealth? And when you're trying to work your way out of anything, you're adding momentum to that thing. So whenever you're trying to work your way out of lack, out of debt, you're pushing against lack, you're pushing against debt. And even though you're trying to work your way out of it, you're still focusing on that unwanted. So what does it do? It creates more momentum towards that unwanted. So when it comes to affirmations like, I am good enough, when people use an affirmation like, I am good enough, oftentimes they are simultaneously tuning into that feeling of not being good enough. The reason they're using that affirmation is because they feel like they're not good enough. So you need to be very careful in your affirmations to make sure that you're not pushing against a negative emotional state. And the way you know that you're doing that is basically when you're saying your affirmation, when you're tuning into your affirmation, when you're deciding to use that affirmation, how are you feeling? And if in any way you're tuning into that negative aspect, that negative emotion, even if you're thinking about that thing that you're pushing against, you're activating it and you don't want to do that. So make sure in your affirmations that you're not triggering those negative emotions and you're not pushing against something. So one example of an affirmation that doesn't do that is my favorite affirmation, which is everything I want is chasing me, right? There's no pushing against any negative connotation there. There's no negative emotion. It's just everything I want is chasing me, right? So that was my first tip. Second tip, are you simply saying your affirmation or are you feeling your affirmations? Because remember, emotions is the energy that you're putting in motion that creates your reality. Saying it, even though that might create a little bit of momentum, is nothing compared to the momentum you're going to create by feeling it. So make sure that you slow down and you really tune in to not just what you're saying, but feeling that affirmation. And if you want to take things one step further, pen and paper, write it down. Whenever I do journaling work or writing exercises, I like to write things nice and slow and drawn out, because when I write nice and slow, I can take the time to really tune in and feel what I'm writing. So make sure that you're not just stating the affirmation, make sure you're feeling the affirmation. And the third tip, and this is another law of attraction basic, is not to use nots or don'ts. So if you affirm, I'm not going to screw this up, I'm not going to screw this up. Well, what are you activating the vibration of? Right? Screwing things up. So make sure your affirmations don't include those nots or the don'ts. Same example I used in my first tip, which was don't push against the lack. Every time I say, I'm not going to screw this up, well, I'm tuning into the vibration of screwing it up. So pay extra attention to the verbiage of your affirmations just to make sure that you're focusing on what you do want in the language that you're using and not using those nots or those don'ts. So that's it. 3 simple tips to affirmations to make sure you're doing them properly and creating momentum to the reality you want to be experiencing. I hope this video was useful for you. I'd love to know, what's your favorite affirmation? Drop an affirmation in the comments below. Whatever affirmation you feel inspired to share right now, drop it in the comment. Let me hear it. I'd love to hear what all of you guys are affirming in your realities. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.